channel, and we have another test video with the PRS SE Swamp Ash Special and some perhaps other guitars that you would compare very specific sounds with it. So I actually got this idea from a comment on my last full-length video, wanting to compare it to with the tone knob pulled up in the third position. You basically have the Strat sound. Now, I will say that's the only sound out of this guitar that's like a traditional 3 single coil Strat, because the other positions are some combination of either all the pickups or a humbucker. So that's the only traditional single coil Strat sound that this guitar makes in stock form, which this one still is. So I will be comparing that with this Squier Classic Vibe 60 Strat, which has a Seymour Duncan psychedelic neck pickup and a G&L MFD middle pickup. So this is not a stock Squier by any means. So I'll have that test for you for the fourth position with a few different sounds. And this is actually the one that I'm most interested in, because my favorite sound is a hot Telecaster bridge pickup in a traditional setup. So we have my Fender parts caster. This is an ash body of one of the old Baja Telecasters, and a, depending on what year it is, over the many years, a Seymour Duncan hot lead for Tele bridge pickup. So on paper, this is actually hotter than the humbucker, the 8515S bridge humbucker. So we will be comparing these two, because ash bodies, bolt-on maple necks, and hot single coil, and a more vintage, maybe slightly hotter than vintage, but not much, on paper at least, humbucker. So I'm very interested to see how these two compare. And also, since we're talking, it is a humbucker, let me just grab this one. This is another parts caster. This is the Squier Upgrade Series guitar with a roasted maple fender neck. We have a poplar body, I'm wanting to say, and a DiMarzio Chopper T bridge pickup. So that's a dual blade ceramic humbucker. So I think it'll be very interesting to see how these guitars sound. But again, otherwise, we got bolt-on maple necks. That's an Indian Laurel fretboard on the Strat on a maple neck. So what I'm going to do, we'll start with the Telecasters and the Swamp Ash Special. I'm going to play one clip clean, crunch, and the lead channel of the Boss Katana, and then we will come back and then we will do the same thing with the fourth position of the Strat. And I'm only doing the bridge pickups for the Teles against the Swamp Ash Special, and only the fourth Strat position against the Swamp Ash Special, because those are the only ones I think that are really direct comparisons. I mean, there's a shawbucker in the neck here, but this isn't an ash body, and so anyway, you can continue doing comparisons into infinity, but for a guitar that's supposed to be so incredibly versatile, and I think it did extremely well in the last video compared to the guitars that were featured in that one, including a Gibson Les Paul. I was very interested to see how these would sound, and a couple of viewer comments helped inspire this. So I want to thank you all for that feedback. So with no further ado, let's compare some Teles to this PRS. And we are back. So again, those were all mic'd with an SM57. None of the settings were changed. I was just swapping guitars and going from the clean, the crunch, and the lead on the Boss Katana, which I use the Katana because it's probably the closest thing to ubiquitous in today's world in terms of guitar amplifiers. So it's something that most people are going to have a good basis of comparison for, and it's just so easy to just go between the channels without having to swap amps or pedals. So that's one reason why I love to use it for these. So, with no further ado, guitar A was the Swamp Ash Special. Guitar B was the ash-bodied Partscaster Telecaster, meaning guitar C was the other Partscaster from the Squier Bullet Telecaster Upgrade series. So, I thought those three sounded more alike than the guitars in the previous test I did with the Hum Strat and the S2 Standard 24. I was really impressed. Let me say that this guitar, my black Telecaster, is my favorite guitar, but it probably needs a refret because it's a little, I've had it for over 20 years and it's over 30 years old. So it's not in its peak condition at the moment. If I had to pick one of my guitars, say somehow I was playing in front of 1 million people, this would probably be the one I would go with. And that being said, they sounded very much alike and feel very much alike. So I think that says a lot about the versatility of the Swamp Ash Special, that it's hanging with set neck humbucker guitars made out of mahogany like the S2 Standard 24 and a bolt-on ash body Telecaster. I think another thing is the necks are very similar. This neck is off a deluxe Nashville Telecaster, Mexican made, which by now is not quite 10, probably 8 years old. So it's a very thin C neck with a 12-inch radius. This is slightly fatter, but it is a 10-inch radius, so a little bit flatter fingerboard than traditional Fender. So, I mean, I think it just speaks a lot that this guitar stood up to what might be, I don't want to say my favorite guitar, but what might be the guitar out of all of mine I would choose if everything was on the line, which again, and this is a great guitar too. And again, it has a, if you've seen the videos, it has a soft V-neck. But again, this is mainly about the Swamp Ash Special, and I think that it stood up tremendously in this test. So I think it can definitely do the Tele thing. So, that being said, let's compare the Swamp Ash Special to the 4th position of a Stratocaster. And we are back. So, having been through everything earlier, I cut right to it. Guitar A was the Swamp Ash Special. Guitar B was the Stratocaster. I thought they sounded a little bit different, but they both sounded like Stratocasters, I thought. So again, this one has a Seymour Duncan psychedelic neck pickup, the standard line one, not the custom shop one, and a GNL magnetic field design middle pickup, which is American made. So this guitar, both sounded like great Strats. And I think the big takeaway for really the purposes of this video is, yes, the Swamp Ash Special can do the 4th position Strat thing like a Strat. So, again, for $850 regular price, which those of us that were excited enough to buy it the first 2 days had to pay, it's now $680. This is just an amazing guitar, amazing quality. I have literally no complaints about it whatsoever, even comparing it to some of my favorite guitars, some of which are more expensive. I mean, every one of these three is this, the Strat's not really a parts caster. I swapped the pickups and the electronics, but the 2 Teles are parts casters, so it's not really a fair comparison in terms of stock guitars off the line. But this isn't quite as high quality as an S2 in terms of fit and finish and the fine details, but it's very close. And again, there is not an S2 version of this. So again, my big takeaway is this is an extremely versatile, high-value guitar, and if you're thinking about getting one, I say go for it. And again, I'll say, of all the bolt-on guitars I've ever owned, this new, which it's my understanding that right now it's not even on the S2 or Core line. I don't know if they technically have any Core, because the bolt-on is its own thing in the American line above S2, but I digress. I think that whether it's the Silver Sky, the Fiore, I think it's how you say it, or the NF53, this is the most comfortable heel of them all. They will tell you that yourself. It's the most comfortable heel of any bolt-on, traditional style bolt-on guitar I've ever played. Again, there's probably shredder guitars that would have it beat, but I mean, it's just such a comfortable guitar to play. I mean, I could go on and on about it. Having owned it, I mean, a little more than a week now, which as of the time I'm recording this, I think it's been like 10 days, 11 days. I've already made 3 videos with it. Long form videos, not counting shorts. And I just absolutely love it. I, again, could not recommend it enough. And as of right now, there's no American version. I know there was in the past, but this one is the only game in town. So you can feel like that you're getting the Swamp Ash Special right now if you pick it up. So if you have any questions, please leave them below. Please like and subscribe. And until next time, keep on rocking.